Hello, everybody. It's the Out for Smokes podcast. We're coming at you with the new fourth microphone. We finally got the fourth microphone that we've been talking about for a long time. Johnny went to B&H. How much do you think that new microphone costs?
This one?
Yeah.
I know the answer.
Oh, that's the one you're... Oh, okay.
I don't know the answer, but I'll guess.
Yeah.
$450?
Yeah, it was about $434.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Evil.
Stand
Yeah.
is really something, though.
Yeah.
You guys got uniform ones as well.
Yeah.
Did it come with the stand? No, right?
I don't know. There were like three things.
They're
Didn't it?
extra. They're extra.
Yeah. Johnny's running a laundering scam where he puts fake items on the receipt. Because there was something for there was something else that was on the... I didn't look at it, but I'll be Venmoing him within 14 to 21 business days. Anyway, I'm very excited. We have a very special guest on the show. We got Belden from the TrueAnon podcast.
Hello. I guess I'll look at the camera. I don't think I've ever done a videotape podcast, but actually that's not true. But I'm going to look directly at this phone and say, hello, Mike.
That's great. Because now all the podcasts have to be video. So you got to look at yourself.
But what is it? People aren't watching them, right?
They are watching them.
I thought it was just like a clip thing. Like you have like somebody saying like a pithy thing for like a 30 seconds.
Right. Well, we keep making more and more advances in friend simulators. So it's not enough to have your friends talk to you. You have to look at them, and soon we'll be VR podcasting.
And then during COVID, everybody was staying home watching podcasts. So they want to see you.
That's true. But I see these like advanced sets like the like median podcast people have. Theo Vaughn or whatever.
Yeah.
And they look like it's kind of like a Twitch streamer setup where they're just kind of surrounded by toys. And
Yeah, there's just like two bobbleheads, an album they like.
Oh, yeah, you have to do that.
Yeah.
You have to have a nice...
But this is just a brick wall?
That's a brick wall.
And then there's trash here.
That's off frame.
But for those who can't see, there's
my uncle lives behind that curtain over there.
It's mostly trash in this room and then a brick wall.
Well, yeah, we're stand-up comics, so that's kind of all we know is trash and brick walls.
Yeah, you guys do love
It's not really that's the box from the new microphone. And there's not that much trash in here, I have to say.
I guess there's not. No,
For those of you watching or listening at home.
Disrespecting his home.
I mean, there's just like a bunch of egg cartons.
Yeah. I guess we're getting off on the wrong foot.
No, I like it, you know. No, but this is a very nice studio, guys. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.
Well, it's just not the same since we don't have Mike's framed Sopranos poster in the background anymore.
So
yeah, that was a gift from. Never mind. You don't care. You wouldn't be you wouldn't be impressed.
I would be.
It was a gift from Scarlett Johansson.
Really?
Yeah.
Which means she goes to the mall because that's where you get that Sopranos poster.
Yeah. It's very
It'd be funny if she knew to get you that without having one conversation with you beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. Well, so so this is the show. The show's about my son. We try to leave wisdom behind for my son in case I am not around. And so today yesterday I went to pick up my kid from daycare, and they were telling me that he's not listening. He's not cleaning up. When they ask him to clean up, he tries to distract the teachers. He tries to act cute. He goes, "Hey, look at me. Look at my hair," you know, So I was like, "Listen, you got to listen to your teachers." And he was wearing a chicken hat. So I was like, when I picked him up, so I'm like, "Listen, when your teachers tell you to do something, I want to hear you say like, okay, Zaina, okay, Burju." And I was like, "Can you say okay? Can you say okay, Zaina?" And he just starts going, "Bok, bok."
Fuck, man.
Yeah. So I don't know what to do. I've never had to discipline my kid before.
Yeah.
You know?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You seem like you might have been hit.
What do you mean?
Like by your parents.
My dad spanked me a little bit, but then he stopped for my little brother, and then he became a heroin addict. So that was a mistake. Actually, you should hit your children.
I'm not. You shouldn't do that. I'm just saying. But this is to your son.
Yeah.
He could be doing that, and he's not. Just so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So thank him for that, because I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
Didn't turn out so good. I was spanked heavily with a wooden spoon for a period until my parents realized it.
Are you Italian?
No, Jewish, but it's like similar.
Appropriate.
Similar
appropriation.
Everyone wants to fuck their mother or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the spoon was all I got.
Okay.
And I don't think my dad's heart was in it. Mm-hmm. Plus, he's like 5'6", and so after a while, it became unwieldy.
What if his heart was in it, and he's like, "God damn it, this 7-year-old doesn't think my heart is in it," so he had to give up. Like he really thought he was whooping your ass with that spoon.
Yeah, I mean, I think I deserve at this point in my life to spank my father at least once.
I totally agree.
I think I should be able, because he's old now.
Yeah.
And I should and I could easily do it. Like I could rip his pants down and just like go to town on him. But I feel like it's just interesting because I feel like if I did that, now that I have asserted myself as a man, people would find it problematic. But when he did it when I was a child, it's suddenly fine.
Yeah. Well, would people find out?
Well, I'd probably film
videotape it. You'd live stream it.
Yeah. I mean, there's an erotic quality to it that I think that people would appreciate.
Yeah, like the kid who beheaded his dad and made that video, but it's you making a 14-minute video about spanking your dad.
yeah. About
giving a political speech about the illegal immigrants while you're spanking your dad. In the
Another guy just killed his dad because his dad had got the vaccine today. I saw.
What?
Yes.
Oh.
Which seems, I mean, just wait.
Toby Keith's dad killed him.
Scare him. He'll have a heart attack.
Yeah, why is anybody still fired up about the vaccine?
Impossible. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
Maybe his dad just got it. And he just like that freaked him out so bad. Because if his dad got it like 4 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever, it's like, well, how would you even remember?
Yeah. He probably promised his son not to get it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, I guess I'll.
He found the card, like folded up in his wallet.
Yeah.
So your son's being bad.
I guess he's being bad, yeah.
Is this the first time he's been bad?
Yeah, I've never had to like discipline him before.
What'd you do?
I tried to like explain to, I mean, because he's 2.5, you know? So I'm trying to be like, hey, listen, sometimes we give people authority because they, you know, that's how society needs to run. But it's like, you know, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have any suggestions or advice or anything.
I hang out with my neighbor's kid a lot, who's like 3, so kind of similar age, and I'm not gonna say he's bad, but he's bad.
Yeah.
Like, you know, not like he's not smoking cigarettes or anything, but you know, he's rambunctious.
Yeah.
You just trick him, but I don't have to live with the tricks. Like if I tell him a lie that scares him, that I can just go home afterwards. But his parents might have to kind of keep up that lie or like.
Yeah.
My number one go-to thing with kids is old people is just trick them and like tell them a lie, like, oh, she'll kill you if you act up.
Right.
And it's hard to know how many of those lies will stick with them because you don't really start forming memories until you're 6. And so like if you tell a bunch of fake stuff that scares him, he might only remember a little bit of it. And so like the actual trauma done from that is probably comparable to regular discipline.
Right.
That's more time consuming.
Right. Yeah, because part of me is like, you know, we pay so much money for this place. Like, that's like your problem. I see how people become shitty parents.
Yeah.
You know? Because I'm like, well, I don't know. Figure it out.
Well, I think what you should start doing now is start docking any future earnings he has. So like anytime, like, I mean, it's have him sign a contract, which is legally binding because he is your kid and you're giving him permission to sign a contract like you would in a situation that was signed with someone who is not the parents. And basically promising you that every time he acts out, he's giving you either 1% more of his future earnings or he's giving you like a certain set amount of money by, you know, a certain date or whatever.
Okay.
And then just put him to work when it's like 14.
Okay.
And then he's kind of, it's like an indentured servitude position that he has. He can't get a job. He can just work it off at home and you can kind of keep him in the house. Your wife loves him a lot?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, she's not going to want him to go to college or anything.
No.
So
I guess he could just be our little butler or something.
yeah, that's a word for it. But like, like a guy who, you know, does things for free for you and lives there.
Yeah.
And you know, it's eventually when you can kind of lease him out to other people, it's all good. But yeah, I think that would be my solution because you're of course he's gonna act bad now, but every time he acts bad, it's kind of a good thing because you're like, well, all right, you know, I got this in the back pocket for later, probably till he's 40.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
Yeah, you got to make them afraid of something. And then you bring that thing up every time you go. With my sister, she would say, you know, the bears are going to come. And then he would think like a bear could show up anywhere and attack him, my nephew. Oh, okay. And maybe your son needs, you know, that type of fear in him, that a bear could attack at any time.
Yeah.
Show him a picture of... I don't know, like a skeleton or something every time.
Okay.
What scares kids?
Yeah, show him my picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncle Sean's going to come over.
Yeah, does he have any family members he hates?
Not really. Maybe just my mom.
Oh, there we go. Well, every time.
He bit my grandmother. He bit my 98-year-old grandmother because she went to hug him.
Where do you bite her?
Like on her hand, I think.
Jeez, like a dog.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to hug you.
Yeah, true. Never too early to start teaching about that. Mm-hmm. I would say just drop him off with Sean. Or make him smoke a whole pack of cigarettes. That's what I mean, that was later in life, but it's never, that'll teach him. Well, that'll teach 2 lessons in one. Don't do the bad thing you're doing now at 2.5.
Yeah.
Plus, you have the added benefit of looking fucking cool to all your, other people you got to whatever daycare with.
Right.
And that'll probably put him off smoking later.
Right. I like that. You said your mom hit you with the spoon, but you said her heart wasn't in it, or your dad's?
My dad hit me with the spoon. His heart was not in it. I feel like he just like heard that you should do that sometimes.
Yeah. I think my mom would stand at the base of the stairs and yell at me and my brother, and she'd be like, "Get up in your room," and then we'd be like, "Well, you're gonna hit me when I run past," and then she would say that she wouldn't, and then she would hit us one time on the way up the stairs. I think she liked it.
Like, where would she hit you?
With her hand or
with the spoon?
With the spoon.
Yeah. So you get one whack on the way up to the.
That's corralling
your room. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of teaches you certain dexterity. Like, you know, as a kid, like you have to dodge something in real life that is actual danger. Mm-hmm. You know, that's some useful skills.
Yeah. I got my mouth washed out with soap.
Oh yeah, me too.
You did?
Yeah.
Did they use bar soap or liquid soap?
I believe it was bar soap. Okay. Liquid sounds worse.
Yeah, liquid was weird. My mom used both. One time she just like took a thing of Dove hand soap and like pumped it into my mouth.
Squirting, standing over your kid, just pouring Dr. Bronner's into his mouth.
That is not how it's supposed to.
No. You're supposed to use
like poisonous. Yeah, you have to hold it in your mouth and go, ew, gross.
Right.
Yeah, or dish soap that bubbles up.
Yeah, you're just burping bubbles for a long time.
I feel like I don't know if I was disciplined enough as a child, now that I think about it. Because none of those things, you know what I had to do is I had to sit, my parents would make me sit and stare at a wall. Mm-hmm. Like time out. Mm-hmm. And that made a big impression on me. Mm-hmm. But it didn't deter me from doing bad things.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of a weird punishment. But I guess punishments are inherently kind of weird.
Yeah.
Well, and then they put you in the Monarch School and you ran away?
That's true. I did get sent to a troubled teen institution. And
oh yeah.
yeah. And they did a lot of, they had to do like age regression stuff and we had to constantly tell everybody our worst secrets, but I was 13, I wasn't that bad, so I just had to make a bunch of shit up. Mm-hmm. So I did have a lot of novelty punishments there. Our big thing there is if you swore, you had to put rocks in your pocket, and if you swore like 4 times, you had to sleep with a rock as a pillow.
Okay,
so you had to like sleep with a. No, that was a different place I went to sleep with a rock as a pillow, but I had to sleep with a rock as a pillow for like a month at one point, and they would check if you were actually like resting your head on the rock.
Yeah.
But I had to dig stumps up if I got in trouble at the school I went to. And I used that. That was actually, it was kind of perfect because it was the only time you could be alone. And so I would jack off.
Okay.
I would jack off like 3-4 times a day in the woods. But nothing, I'd never seen a tit in the flesh. I had seen, I believe, 1 or 2 breasts on the internet, but very few.
Right.
And so this was like pure imagination.
Did you carve the stumps into a set of tits?
They did take on an erotic quality, but it's much more phallic than breasts-like. Yeah. And it's Mother Nature or whatever, but it's very, there's a certain cock-like element to a tree.
Nice.
And I would just imagine what women would eventually look like. I really had a very hazy idea of what was going on in her clothes. And so I just thought about it for hours and hours and hours at a time. So it wasn't really a punishment. It was more like an awakening of my sexuality.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's kind of surprising when you first start seeing girls naked. Yeah. But like you don't really expect them to look like that.
Yeah, I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that. It's good. I like it.
Yeah.
You know, but I kind of thought there was something else ill-defined there.
Yeah.
Like a penis or something. Because that would be, oh my God, if they had though and no tits.
Yeah.
And like shortish hair or like a fucking kind of like a Jason Statham haircut.
Yeah.
And just like
if their bodies were a little harder.
Yeah, like way harder and just like more defined and taller than me. That's kind of what I expected and currently want women to look like.
Yeah.
But we all settle.
Yeah. I remember I gave my mom the finger one time behind her back. and that felt pretty cool.
Yeah.
But my grandfather was at my house and he saw it. So I went, and then he was like, "Did you see that?" She's like, "What?" He's like, "The finger."
Did you get in trouble for it?
Yeah, but I forget what they did. They were just upset with me.
She made you wash your hands.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like the finger is like a prominent part of one's youth, but I feel like you sort of lose. You really only bust it out at certain times later in life.
Sure.
Yeah, it's way more playful as an adult. You can't throw someone the finger and expect them to be like, "Damn!"
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, man.
Yeah.
And if you extend your hand, too far out, then it's out there. You kind of just, it's more of a nonchalant hello.
Well, as an adult, you gotta throw up the thumb too.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
It's like more street. It's like a gang sign for angry guys.
Yeah, it's a tip of the hat.
Yeah.
Because getting the finger is like, there's not really, you can't do it again because that was their move.
Yeah. Well, you can do double. Mm-hmm. And then kind of like a hip thrusting thing too. But then you're getting really into territory that you might be inviting something that you didn't want. And
You do the suck it. I like the.
You can do the suck it.
The X suck it is fun.
this one, you just
Yeah.
No. The wrestling thing.
but that was a big in my middle school, but it was always kind of playful.
Yeah.
No, but if you're an adult in traffic, you got a convertible. You stand up and you say "suck it."
I feel like from when you're like 20 onwards, you should really only point a gun at somebody if you're angry at them.
You're right.
Like in traffic or whatever, because they can't do anything. You're trying to get away. It's like we're in LA. It's the freeway. You can't get away.
Yeah.
And then you just sort of follow them to wherever they're going. You don't shoot them or anything.
Yeah,
you just kind of freak them out a little bit.
Or maybe give them one of these, but that's kind of empty anyway. That's an empty
Well, it's your
gesture.
hand is literally empty, but or putting your hand in your jacket pocket,
okay,
following
that's good.
someone down the street is really good. I do that. I sit on the subway, full thing like this, making eye contact with everybody. First of all, with the women to let them know that if anything happens,
Right.
I'm up
They're
there.
safe.
And then if a guy looks scary to me or is of any ethnicity besides the one that I belong to, I do the gun motion at them.
Oh, okay.
Not to try to freak them out. What I'm doing is muscle memory.
Okay.
For when I draw and strike, that I'm completely prepared to do that.
Yeah,
and he knows that.
Yeah. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah. And plus, it's a come hither. If they get mad at me, if they're too scary, I can be like, no, I was coming on to you.
Oh, okay. Nice. I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut my hair into a mohawk.
Yeah.
Wear like a green army jacket.
Yeah. What I would do, I'll just ride shirtless. See if someone say something.
Okay.
Say something about what I've got going on here. But it's harder to pretend you have a gun in your jacket pocket
Sure,
that way.
sure.
You
Right.
kind of got to pretend it's in your crotch somewhere.
I have like the worst body too.
Yeah, mine not.
I have
That's
fat.
not great.
Mike has big nipples.
I have pretty big nipples.
Well, the swastika.
Yeah, and
It's
a big,
it's
and a big
huge.
swastika tattoo.
I will say this: the swastika has a hugely bad rap because of events, but yours is the peace one.
Oh, it's the Indian one. Yeah.
Yes, which I never understood because you are racist. And that was just like that combining those two things.
Yeah.
It to me has just been an incredible, because riding the subway with you shirtless is an experience. We can only kind of go to Chinatown
Right.
because they get it.
Right.
I don't know. It's a good question though. Like, what actually works in terms of disciplining your kids? Because I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like hitting them doesn't really do much.
Yeah. Well, my uncle sent both my cousins to military school.
Yeah.
Which now looking back on that, I go, you're lazy.
But did it make your cousins like good?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a crapshoot because you're like, it's like a punishment that lasts for years and you're like, it might not work. And it teaches them how to shoot a gun.
Yeah. Right.
I feel like getting yelled at sucks, but it doesn't, like, everything sucks when it happens, but I'm not sure that anything actually prevented me from doing future bad things.
Okay. But what were some of the bad things that you did?
I smoked from a very early age.
How young?
I was like 11 or 12. I think I started smoking at 12.
Okay.
And then was
You
like
probably had sex really early too, right?
14, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
Bald woman.
Really?
Well,
That's cool.
girl.
Yeah.
14-year-old girl. But
She was bald?
she had, well, not due to genetics or whatever. She had done it on purpose. She also had a rat, bald rat. I had lost my virginity in a punk house called The Hole.
Okay.
When I was a runaway. And all of my friends were humiliatingly standing outside the door, pounding on it, and I fake busted a nut. I went, ugh! And I was like, oh man, that was great because I was so nervous.
Yeah.
The first 3 girls I had sex with were all had shaved heads.
Nice.
Which was not on purpose, but
Yeah.
I started smoking early. I was on probation at 13.
What camps were you at?
Yeah. Where were you getting laid, buddy? St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Yeah, I was picking up girls at Dachau.
I got laid by the Monsignor, a couple of PE teachers in my school district.
Really?
No,
Oh, okay.
I would just be describing getting molested.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, some of my dad's friends.
I did work with a guy at the moving company years ago, and I mean, I've told this story on stage, but he goes, one time he was like, yeah, man, I got my dick sucked when I was 5. He told me that like his babysitter sucked his dick. He's like, yeah, my 11-year-old babysitter sucked. And then this guy was like 50 years old, and yeah, and then I had to like tell him that he was molested.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm cool.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you talking? Like, yeah, like, that would, if that's like part of your identity at that age, it's like you're never gonna accept that you were molested.
No.
And obviously, I mean, it must have helped him in some way.
I'm sure.
Yeah, he thinks he's a ladies' man since he was 7.
Yeah, like they can't. I was so hot as
I was the
5-year-old,
hottest child.
and I've only matured into it.
Yeah.
I was bad, but I wasn't. I think it's probably for everybody. You think you're bad as a kid, and then you find out what other kids are doing, and you're like, oh, you're way worse. Because like having sex isn't bad; it's cool. But like other kids I knew were like selling coke and stuff, and like I never did that.
Right.
I wouldn't know how to get coke when I was 14.
Right. To like adults.
I would have to like interface with like a 20-year-old guy to do that. It's just insane. And so I was just hanging out with like bad kids in San Francisco, but not like I wasn't like a terror or nothing. I was on probation for a fire, but I didn't set the fire. I just got blamed for it.
Okay.
But that sort of set the narrative for it. And my punishment there was I got sent away.
Yeah.
Right.
And then so you were 14 when you got sent away?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the fire, I mean, really it's the building owner's responsibility for not following those codes that all those people died.
Yeah. Well, I should mention the fire. This happened during 9/11. So I set an auxiliary fire in this building near it, which ended up taking the whole thing down. And all these people have these conspiracy theories about it, but
so yours kind of got overshadowed.
it was just me and my friends took down Building 7 just kind of as like a goof.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Like a Jackass. You were watching Jackass at the time.
It was a CKY kind of thing. And it was like, we figured, they're taking down some buildings. We might as well finish the job.
Yeah, there was a Securities and Exchange Commission office there, but we were just setting fires. How was I supposed to know the Pentagon got hit that day?
Hey, do you remember like 6 or 7 years ago there was that building in Oakland that burned down, and it was like a artist like
Ghost
space.
Ship. Yeah. That like changed a lot in the Bay Area.
Really?
That was a bunch. I didn't know anyone who died in that, but like a bunch of my friends died in that. And I'd been there before. And there was a few of those like warehouses that were very similar around like the same spot. Yeah. And it was like they were all death traps.
Yeah.
I mean, it was completely like, and it was like, there was I spent a lot of time in places. Not like that. That place was like a little different scene but like a lot of punk warehouses, and like none of them had like fire exits or anything, like and like windows or anything.
Yeah.
But that
it had to be a long time ago because Matt Lauer was interviewing the guy. I guess the guy who managed the building or whatever, or owned the building or something, and the guy was like, "Yeah, it's just horrible. Like all these beautiful souls were trapped in there."
I mean, it's horrible too. Like I read a description like a couple of years ago because I was just kind of like thinking about it.
Yeah,
and it's a terrible way to die. But like that shut down like basically every venue in the Bay Area.
Really?
Yeah, it was like after that they like shut everything down overnight.
Sure, it's terrible because it's so hard to like find a place to live.
Yeah.
Like it's just the rent's high and you go.
Well, especially it's like warehouse people.
Yeah.
I feel like there used to be a lot of those kind of people in the Bay Area, like people who just like lived in these kind of like venue spaces, art spaces or whatever. And like there's that shit here too, but like the Bay had like a lot of just like warehouse districts that it was like still cheap to live in, and that's all over now. And I don't know what those people do now. I guess they like live in apartments probably.
Hopefully.
But I to be honest with you.
Maybe they live in tiny houses.
I've never been, the people who live in the warehouse, I don't want to live in the warehouse.
Yeah, me neither.
I love a door.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I wanted to live in a warehouse. Wayne's World 2, they live in the warehouse.
Yeah,
I wanted that so bad.
Yeah, I've just...
Yeah, see, if you live in a warehouse, it's easier to get your penis nailed into a piece of wood.
Well, you also... the other thing, too, is like, you don't ever want to live where the party is.
Yeah,
it's
right.
like never have a party at your house, but you live at a place where it's like living at a bar or something.
Yeah.
You can never like have like you have
Quiet
to clean
time.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also you have to clean up.
Yeah.
And then like everyone gets mad at you, and then something bad happens. It's kind of your fault. It's a fucking night. It's a bureaucratic nightmare.
Yeah.
But I spent I got chased by wild dogs right by where Ghost Ship was when I was a kid. I got chased by wild dogs twice in my life, both times in Oakland. And I got to tell you, the craziest experience of my life. Because you don't expect to see them.
Yeah.
And then I think they were like fighting dogs that people had bred or something that kind of like escaped. And I'm not a runner, as you can probably tell by interacting with me. But I was like fully like how they do in the movies when guys are running really fast, like doing this thing where you're almost punching like vertically. And I escaped, but I've never. And now I just when I see dogs like that, I'm just like, all right.
Yeah. You reach in and you reach into your jacket.
I just go like this
let
at
the dog.
them. I go to the dog park once a day, basically, and just do that to people's dogs and be just checking.
Yeah.
It's also from when they put out those robot dogs, like the police robot dogs. People will hesitate when they see those before firing. But I've killed so many dogs that at this point I'll probably be the only. I'll be like the Terminator guy, the human guy from Terminator.
No delay.
No delay, because there's no difference between a dog and a robot dog to me.
Yeah. I had this friend named Mark. He was like my boss at work, and he was this like real dumb jacked guy with a shaved head. He was from Maryland. And one time we were hanging out, he was like, "Remember I taught you how to kill a dog, right?"
Jesus Christ.
And I guess what you do is like if you're in a situation where you need to kill a dog, you put your arm around its neck and then you like fall.
It's fucking the white girl you're dating.
You walk in on a dog and you
What the fuck?
it just starts making these whining noises.
You said arm around the neck and then what?
You put your arm around the dog's neck and then you like fall on the ground.
You give it the stone cold stunner.
You kind of give it a stone cold stunner and it breaks its neck.
When I was in middle school, one of the first times I got drunk was in these bushes that kids used to get drunk in, like this like sort of dugout behind these bushes. And this girl I had a big crush on, I saw her like just walking around like near there. And I was like, and she seemed kind of drunk too. And my friends were like, "What's going on? What are you doing?" And she's like, "I just came from this other girl's house and she put peanut butter on her vagina and the dog licked it off." And I had known about that like urban legend or whatever. And I was like, "Is this, you really saw it?" She's like, "I just saw her do it. Like, it's not a joke." Found out last year.
Yeah.
Peanut butter girl.
Yeah.
She's dead.
No.
Damn.
Oh, what?
She was allergic to peanut butter?
Yeah. But it's just, this is just. This is what I'm saying about
Imagine forgetting you want to get your pussy eaten so bad by a dog, you forget your
House hives. Her parents are away for the weekend. They're like so afraid she's gonna OD.
it had chocolate in it. The dog dies.
You're so horny and so eager to have that dog eat your pussy.
Yeah.
That you,
But I mean, this is what I'm saying about you raising your son is that there's so many disciplinary actions you can take against him now, but nothing will prepare him for what he's going to face out there.
Right.
So the only thing you can really do is just make him a bully.
Okay.
So just be like I'm sure you've dealt with, maybe he's a little too young, but like, there's parents who are like, "Yeah, fuck your teacher." You know what I mean? Like, yeah fuck that bitch. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you're my man. Like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You have to make him completely mentally insane.
Okay.
Like, just be like hugely narcissistic, egotistical, just like think he is. So make him into like the ultimate bully, because now that you have a kid, you're like God. You can do whatever you're making a new thing.
It's like The Sims.
I'm imagining. All right, wait. I'm imagining like killing your girlfriend's dog with a technique Mike said, and then you just like smash 2 beer cans together like Stone Cold and pour them over your face. You start going da 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 da.
It's like you should teach him how to be tough right now, because the honor that comes with being able to be a bully is, well, actually, I guess there isn't any, but you can make him into like a kind of a bully with honor. So like he only bullies boys that are smaller than him. He doesn't like beat up chicks or anything.
But I feel like this new generation, they're not really into that though. Like they more bully, but like collectively,
online and shit.
Yeah, if you're like transphobic or something.
Yeah, no, make him.
They bully the transphobes till they kill themselves.
Exactly. I want your son to have a notch by like 5th grade. I want him to have caused a suicide by then.
Yeah.
Be one of the 13 reasons why.
I want him to be all 13 reasons why.
Just Benjamin.
Like you should first of all HGH.
Yes.
You got to hit. I want him looking like Bezos by the time he hits first grade.
Okay.
Just completely rounded muscles like all over his body.
Okay.
And give him a chain.
Okay.
Like all kinds of chain, wallet chain around his instead of a belt, and just like a chain that he swings. I think if you distract him, it comes back to distracting. You got to distract your fucking kid.
Okay.
Right.
That's the only. You can't discipline a 2.5-year-old.
Yeah.
He's not gonna. He's gonna forget.
That's the thing, is like the daycare director is being like, oh yeah, please talk to him, and she was like sort of implying, she was saying that like sometimes. She was like, he's not in danger of getting kicked out, but sometimes kids do get kicked out.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously a waiting list, so they want. So maybe he's going to have to just.
Is he unhappy? Why is he acting out? Is he?
He might be like the oldest kid, and he just like doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't like to clean up or anything. I got my hair cut the other day, and the barber had a basket of toys, and he like dumped the toys on the ground. Then when it was time to go, I was like, "All right, time to clean up," and he just like stood there and watched me clean up. And the fucking dude, and the basket of toys had like hair clippings in it.
It's like
I was like, "Why?"
It's like me with the microphones after we finish recording. Just let
push
Mike
it
do
over.
everything. Make a big tie them worse.
Because I feel like 2.5, you don't remember anything, right? Like
No.
what's his memory?
No
like?
way.
I don't know. There's some things that he like remembers, but the other thing too is like I'm so removed from it that I can see why parents are like, do this when you go to school, because they don't have to see the actual bad behavior.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe like any actual solution I have, I'm like, no, that would probably traumatize him for the rest of it. I'm like, shave his head. Mm-hmm. But also he's a 2 year.
What, do you want to have sex with him?
Or like everything I have would lead like a permanent mark on him as a psyche.
Yeah.
And so I think just tell honestly, what you should just do is tell the lady at the fucking daycare that you talked to him and gave him a stern dressing down.
Yeah.
And then if his behavior changes, it changes. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
That's what
That's probably what you're going to do anyways, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because like Brace, you turned out to be a pretty successful guy. So like you look at these parenting techniques, and you ended up running away from home.
Mm-hmm.
You're a charismatic guy. I wonder, did being on the street essentially teach you how to be charismatic, or were you always that way? Or maybe maybe there is a lesson in that. Maybe you do just have to kick Benjamin out on the street.
I was annoying, but I think definitely getting sent away made me be annoying in a more like pragmatic way.
Were you walking around the street being like, "Hey, buddy, want to win a big bear for your girl?"
Yeah, exactly. It's like a carny. But,
Yeah.
But I think that I don't know. I think I was just like getting sent away was so insane for me and like so kind of traumatizing that I was like, I have to use the only thing I can do to try to get out of this as a child is like to like trick adults.
Yeah.
So I got really good at that. So I was essentially a carny.
Yeah.
And like when I ran away and I was there for a year and I like lied to them and was like, I'm fixed, like I'm changing. They sent me home to go like burn my like Misfits CDs and like
your parents or the school?
The school.
Okay.
But like my parents were like,
but you ran away from the school?
I ran away from this like 3-day home visit that I got. My first time I'd been home in like over a year.
Okay.
And I was on the run for like 4 months. And in that period, I learned how to like trick people. Because cops would come up to me because I was obviously like not in school and it'd be like a Tuesday at like noon or whatever. And I just had so many fucking excuses until I eventually got arrested for being a delinquent. Actually, for being with a different ball girl underneath the bridge at Dolores Park, drinking at like 2 p.m.
Nice.
And I had no excuse for that. But my parents hired a private detective to come after me. And what I did is I took a Greyhound bus to LA. I borrowed $40 from this lady.
My uncle who sent his kids to military school is a private detective.
No shit.
Yeah.
They're fucking bums.
Yeah.
It's they're constantly. I know one private detective.
He's a fucking loser. Yeah.
It's like they don't. They oversell. They lean on a lot
You
of
would
the
think
media.
it'd be a cool job, like you wear a fedora,
Just hardworking Americans pretending to have back pain after their car accident that Mike's uncle goes
Yes.
bus.
And he's a professional.
Turns out he can
fucking
do
rat.
yard work.
Like I saw you fucking your wife and that dog in a threesome, and you were doing crazy bend back shit. You were on top.
I saw you jacking off.
Yeah. So you jacking off with a straight back.
Yeah.
My uncle was a private detective, and his wife was cheating on him for like 15 years
Really?
until he died. And he had like,
my God.
He had like no clue. And I just thought it was so funny that there's this guy who's like, like, and he has no idea his wife's fucking somebody.
Yeah,
Wow.
he finds out. He tells his wife, like, just don't tell my clients, please.
Yeah, he's always like working on hunches and shit. Rules.
My uncle would like piss in Dunkin' Donuts cups and then leave them in his car, and his urine, the acid from his urine would burn the cups, and he would just spill piss all over his fucking
Christ.
and he would listen to like conservative talk radio the whole time. Yeah.
And just film. I mean, while I would really like, I would like to sit there in a car filming someone with a VHS camera like or not a VHS, but like a little video camera like this. I feel like unless I saw you fucking cheating, like I'm like, this job sucks. I'm just like, I want to like, I would want to like bust into the motel room and be like, I see what you guys are doing, and then try to upcharge them for me not to tell the husband.
Okay.
Like that's like you. If you're a private detective, who has like even just regular amount of morals, like it's boring. But if you have no morals, it's probably the most fun job in the world. Because you can just escalate blackmail on everybody involved.
Yeah. Then you go back to the wife and you're like, he wasn't doing anything.
He wasn't doing.
He was going to church.
It's a deleted scene in The Long Goodbye where he gets in the car. He's like, Marlo, this smells like piss. Yeah, working on it.
Yeah, it's
he just gets in the car and there's like, and they're coming in through the border.
But this private eye, like I made this private detective or whatever. I took a Greyhound bus to LA, and my grand plan as a 14-year-old was I was gonna be there for like 2 weeks and then get a ride back because I knew my friends are going there in a couple of weeks. I can get a ride back up with them and call my parents from a payphone. They look at the number, they send the guy to LA. And it worked out completely. And he was like telling my parents, like, yeah, I'm like around Hollywood Boulevard and like there's people that say they've seen him. It's like, no, you haven't. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Have you seen this 14? Imagine a guy coming to you on Hollywood Boulevard and be like, have you seen this 14-year-old boy?
Yeah.
I did go, my first night there though, I did go to a guy's, this was probably the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life, but it turned out all right. I had just gotten off the ground. I had never been to LA. I don't know anybody in LA. And I'm like sitting there on my little duffel bag. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm here. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, he looks, I guess in my head, I'm like, should look more like a pedophile if he's a pedophile.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you want to come to my house? Like, you look like a runaway. And I was like, oh yeah, mister. Like, that sounds like such a good idea.
Yeah.
And I get there, he's like, do you want a beer? And I'm like, no, I don't want a beer. What are you talking about? 14. I do want a beer, but not like with you. And then I sit down, and he just goes like,
I'm
doing
hand
it
on your leg,
And,
did he do it like aggressively like that?
It wasn't like it was like, I mean, it was it wasn't like he was going to like rape me or whatever, but it was like, let's do this right now. Like, you know, rock your shit out.
Me in the middle of a first date.
Exactly. Yeah, well, I usually do that myself. I just
Dinner's
sit
not
down at the
over
table.
yet.
He just started throwing up on break.
What you do is you have full dinner with a woman, you stand out and your penis has been out of your flight the entire time. And you just stand up and you kind of like,
You do the fucking popcorn movie trick at an Italian restaurant.
yeah. It's at the bottom of like a
Fettuccine.
fettuccine. Yeah.
That has to be fake though, right? That popcorn trick.
I know
'Cause
a guy who did it.
Really?
And it worked.
It wasn't really a trick. He was kind of seeing the girl.
First of all, how do you stay hard for that long?
You're not hard. I think you have to have a
Salt
big
rubbed
enough.
all over your
I
dick.
think you have to have a big enough dick.
Burning.
I think you have to have a big enough dick
So it gets hard in the popcorn?
so that it can like stay in there.
Yeah,
like
okay.
in the hole.
Okay.
And to like a point where they can reach it.
But what's he doing? Bringing like a razor blade into the movie theater?
I think he did it with
how
his
do you
thumb.
cut the? But how do you get the hole in the popcorn?
Paper bag. It's a paper bag of popcorn. He does. I think he hit it with. How do you get the bag of popcorn?
No, how do you get the hole in the popcorn?
You take the bag. It's already a little greasy on the bottom, and I think he just used his. This was again when we were like teenagers. I know both people involved in this.
Okay.
He did not get a hand job, but she did touch his penis.
Okay.
But they were dating.
Yeah.
And
What,
so
what about a guy who he puts his penis in the popcorn and then she's about to start eating and she's like, you gotta go put butter on it, and then you like you walk out to the lobby and you pump hot butter onto your cock.
Holding it like
It's just oil. That's not even butter. It's oil.
you start crying.
For women, it's what they'll do is they have a similar trick where they pour an entire Dr. Pepper into the vagina. Like it's the straw trick. They're like, hey, drink this. disgusting.
You get brain freeze.
Have you ever poured anything into a vagina?
No.
No, I did read as a kid. I found like my older sister's, sex book or whatever, and there was a whole chapter about like don't blow into a pussy. Don't.
What happens?
They can kill them.
It just hurts. It's like not nice, and it hurts. I think.
I heard you can die if you blow into a girl's vagina.
Yeah, their head explodes. Yeah.
That's what gives them wandering womb.
Yeah.
Is you blow it off course.
After you kill your girlfriend's dog, you blow into her pussy to kill her.
Yeah, as punishment, as discipline.
But I'm still not sure. But the popcorn, the bags they're like plastic lined. I feel like I just don't feel like you're getting your dick into that without having some kind of X-Acto knife.
I don't think that you could have I think that you could probably do it with your finger.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you could.
Okay.
I mean, he said he did. But I feel like it would be difficult, impossible to maintain an erection unless you're watching a porno.
Yeah.
And like Taxi Driver style, taking the chick to see just an hour and a half long pornographic feature film.
Right.
Or you'd have to occasionally rustle around in there and jack off a little bit to maintain hardness while you're watching The Equalizer 2.
Right.
But I feel like if a woman touches it, there's still probably a lot of popcorn around it.
Yeah.
And so they're jacking you off with like crumbs of popcorn, sort of like around, like making extra veins on your penis.
Yeah.
And it's probably it's the whole.
Somebody's got to clean that up.
You ever, yeah.
Like the girl that works in my daycare quits because she's tired of cleaning up after my kids, and then she's got to sweep up popcorn because some guy
coming here.
Your son keeps cutting holes in all the bottoms of the snack.
It's the only way that Orthodox Jews can get hand jobs.
Oh, with popcorn.
They're gonna do it through the hole in the popcorn.
It's
bag.
got to be a matinee though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, only certain days of the week.
But yeah, Bryce, I did want to ask you just about addiction, because I guess you got sent to this school because you were doing vandalism, and then you ran away, and then like when did you start using drugs?
When I was 16. How old are you?
Me, I'm 35.
Okay, so it's around. Well, I'm 34, so around the same age.
Yeah.
Do you remember when OxyContin came out?
Yeah, it was late 90s.
Yeah,
Like,
or
I think 99.
but like,
when they,
I mean, it came out before I started using it, but I remember at one year when I was like 16 or 17, like people started doing it all the time.
Right.
And I had done like Vicodin maybe once or twice, like a pills or like, in some small quantity. But then once I got my hands on an OxyContin 80, I was like, this is the greatest invention ever made. And I want to feel like this all the time. And I moved to the Tenderloin in San Francisco, which is like kind of a crackhead neighborhood.
You're like telling all your fucking crust punk friends, look, the FDA says it's non-addictive.
It's good.
We can do as much of it as we want.
It's medicine. And I started, I had a drug dealer, which I never had before, a consistent drug dealer who was a 65-year-old Egyptian guy named Dr. Z, who I once saw get arrested for shooting a bird and killing it with a BB gun, and who once stabbed his girlfriend with a samurai sword to a like very serious point of injury when my friend Eric was by.
I thought you're supposed to slash with those things.
He just fucking because I mean I think you are, but you got to slide it in for the
okay.
To kill yourself. So it is good, I think, for jamming at someone's guts.
Okay, sorry.
But once I started going to him, I had just he lived like 3 blocks from me, and so I just like started spending all my money on that. And then they made OxyContin illegal. And it's like it is really just the same story that like everybody had back then. They made it illegal, and then all of a sudden heroin was everywhere.
Yeah. And
I started doing heroin, and heroin is like I started snorting it, and then I started smoking it, and then I was like, fuck it. I was like, I'm never gonna shoot it. I'm never gonna shoot it. I'm never gonna shoot it. Like that's what a junkie does. Even though I was like dope sick all the time. Like I was a junkie.
You're doing what the grandpa in Little Miss Sunshine did.
I've never seen it. Does he?
He snorts heroin. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we have the funny thing is on the West Coast, it's tar, and so it looks like cat shit.
Okay.
It's like a big piece of shit. Like it doesn't look like a line or anything. Like they have like powder heroin on the East Coast. California, no. And so you actually aren't snorting powder, you're snorting liquid. So like you heat it up in a spoon like you would shoot it, and you have this like disgusting black liquid, and then you kind of just got to like tilt it into your nostril or use like a plastic straw. It's the most foul shit that I can like still taste the backwash from it. And then so eventually like everyone starts shooting it. And once I started doing that, I just did it all the time. And that's like less socially acceptable. Like your peers will not be down for that. And so, I started keeping it a secret. And then I started doing meth, and then, it's a game over from there.
How's meth?
You never done it?
No.
It's
Because I tweeted one time that I feel like I should smoke crack at some point. And then everybody was like, people were like, meth is much better.
Meth is...
Have you ever smoked crack?
Yeah.
You prefer either one?
Well, it's hard to say because they fill two different niches.
Okay.
Meth, I didn't like meth. But meth, you can't deny it. It gets you really high.
Okay.
It gets you so high when you shoot it. And it's like, shooting it is like, you feel like you're about to have a heart attack. It's like one of these things, it's like, you feel like your body's filled with electricity. Crack, the only way I've only smoked crack like 4 or 5 times. It just wasn't really like part of my lifestyle. But once you do smoke it, you're like, I get crack.
I might want to examine that.
Yeah. Well, you understand crack because you see a crack and you're a bum. What are you feeding for crack?
Yeah.
Just stop smoking crack. Once you smoke crack, you're like, I should smoke this forever.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It is genuinely like, it is exactly as it's portrayed in all of movies and everything. You're like, wow, all I want to do is smoke more crack.
Oh, yeah?
And you'll do it for like 20 hours in a row. You'll just smoke crack because it only lasts for like 15 minutes.
And what is that 15 minutes? What are you?
So sick. It is like, it's worth, check this out. It's worth the price of being a crackhead.
Okay.
People,
yeah.
crackheads know what crackheads
They don't want
are.
you to know about that.
But,
The
like,
government doesn't want you to know
it's
about
their
that.
secret.
It's so good that people are willing to risk just being a crackhead for it. It's like a really intense coke high.
Yeah.
And there's like a more intense, like when you smoke it hits you like a harder way than, I've never done good coke. I've done a lot of cocaine. Most of it just made me take shits at bars and like not get hard-ons. Crack is like, it's stronger, even though it's cheap and shitty, because it's like the way you're ingesting it.
Okay. And you can fuck on it.
Yeah, I never fucked on drugs. I would fuck on heroin because I was like, I didn't care. And so if a woman want to have sex, I'm like, yeah, I'll do whatever. But you can't come.
Yeah.
Meth is really popular for gay guys to have sex with. They call it P&P, party and play.
Okay.
Or chem sex, which is kind of very futuristic sounding.
Okay.
But when I would do meth, my dick would shrink. It would like do the opposite of a boner. Like it would get smaller.
Okay.
And I would be like, I have no idea how people can do. Like, have you ever done a lot of amphetamines, like a ton of Adderall or anything at once? It makes your dick smaller. People will know what I'm talking about.
Permanently or just while you
no,
do it?
but well, mine it's hard to tell.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's no number less than 0. But it's I guess there's negatives, but that's would be. But it just like makes it so like it's like your penis gets to its smallest possible state for me. But then some guys will be like they'll just like smoke meth and just like have gay sex for like 3 or 4 days in a row.
Jeez.
But the thing is,
What kind of jobs do they have?
Yeah, I don't know.
I want,
creative agencies, I assume.
Love to get a job where those guys are working.
I got to take a bunch of Adderall so I can fit my dick in this popcorn box.
Yeah.
I got to shrink it down a bit.
Dude, I think I work on this podcast every single day. I don't ever have a day off from this podcast. I'm always thinking about
That's very true.
But meth is, I really didn't like it. I just, at that point, I was on so much heroin that the only way I could feel high when I shot up is if I did what's called a goofball, whereas you mix methamphetamine and heroin in the same shot and then do it. And it would give you, it was also the only way I could take a shit. So I wouldn't shit for like 5 or 6 days. And then I'd do a big shot of meth in this Indian restaurant bathroom when I was shot up. And I would take the physically longest dump that you could possibly imagine, like a anaconda.
That's the healthy shit, though, right?
At that point, I was basically only eating muffins. I would eat a muffin like once every couple of days, and so it was just like that coming out of me. But yeah, I was like truly addicted to meth, even though I never enjoyed it a single time that I did it.
Oh, really?
So, like, about how many years did you do heroin and what made you get off?
I did heroin probably for like 3-4 years, like opiates for like 6-7 years, meth for 1.5 years, and then like coke, and I drank to excess since I was like a child. I got arrested buying meth on Market Street in San Francisco at 3 a.m. And Market Street is like at that point, it would be very, very quiet. And I think the police did profile me like a kind of, schlumpy white guy talking to like a kind of big black guy, and like that there's a drug deal happening, and they were completely correct. And so I got busted like mid like buying drugs.
Yeah.
And thankfully San Francisco is a very lenient drug policy. And so I got diversion if I would go to like this state sanctioned rehab or whatever. And I went, and then I immediately relapsed. But I realized that was like the first time I'd not been on drugs in years. And I was like, it's like looking back in horror, like, oh my God, like I've stolen so much money from everyone I know. Everyone I know hates me. I weigh like 95 pounds. Like I have no money. I owe so much money.
Yeah, you got really fat.
Yeah, I did. It's what happens.
Who'd you steal money from?
Oh, girlfriend. That was the main one. And
You
friends.
stole her haircut budget.
Yeah. No, I'd moved on from bald-headed women at this point in my life. But I stole money from everyone I knew, from my job, from former jobs. Like, I mean, every single place I had my parents.
Yeah.
I would break into their house and steal stuff. And I stole from drug dealers, which got me in some.
You were like Omar from The Wire.
That would be. Thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was a
He
little.
just called you gay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in that respect, yes. Omar, I think, was like, they were scared of him.
Right.
And in my case, it was the precise opposite. I was scared. I had a heroin dealer that had multiple sclerosis, and I was scared of him. Because I'm like, he's got nothing. He'll shoot me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll never lock him up. He's MS.
Yeah.
I used to buy heroin from him at the hospital, which was funny because I'm like, well, I have a lot of that kind of stuff in here. But I just like, it's one of those things where it's like, you look, I think this happens to a lot of people who get sober. You like, it's so scary to look how fucked up you've been to everybody and to yourself for so long that like you want to just immediately get high again to like not think about it.
Oh, okay.
So I did that for like a year, and I was like in and out of halfway houses and like detoxes until finally I was just like so tired and also physically ill that I just gave up, and I was like, I'm just not gonna, I'm done. And I got kicked out of this detox, and I ended up for being nasty.
Yeah.
And I ended up just detoxing in this like basement, windowless basement for a couple of weeks, and then since then it was like 9 years ago.
And you did that on your own?
Well, with the help of blood pressure medication, but yeah,
Okay.
I took a lot of blood pressure medication, and that works.
Okay.
What, like propanolol or?
No, I did take propanolol, but no, clonidine.
Okay.
And it lowers your blood pressure like crazy, but you're like functionally a zombie. You're like, yes, thank you. But you also can't feel like the terror and the like the fear and the self-loathing and like the nausea that you would otherwise feel when you're in withdrawals. And so it kind of gets you through that. I mean, it doesn't feel good, and you're still like have diarrhea and everything, but it makes you so sluggish and brain dead that it kind of like gets past the worst of it.
I'm just always curious because it's like, there's a statistic from Council on Foreign Relations, 1,500 Americans die of opioid overdoses every week.
Oh yeah.
It's like, that's, every 2 weeks there's another 9/11 of this. And it's crazy because it's like, it doesn't seem like there's any real plan except for just let these people die out. So I am always just kind of curious what, if you have any thoughts on what actually works in terms of getting sober or helping people who are suffering from these addictions. And I'm very glad that you got out before fentanyl hit, because I think that's what happened with a lot of people is like, if they could get out, what it was still pills, it was still heroin, there were a lot less overdoses before fentanyl came around.
Absolutely. Yeah. I did. Fentanyl was like mythical to us when I was doing heroin. It was like I would read about it, like, oh my God, it's 100 times stronger or whatever. I did it one time. My dealer got some because it was really rare back then. And I shot it up in the Sears bathroom in downtown Oakland. And I passed out for 4 hours, woke up, wasn't high anymore. I was like, this shit sucks.
Oh, okay.
But
You were dead for 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Clinically dead for that long. But yeah, I think drug stuff is weird because I think like when the government tries to solve it at like a policy level, like when the American government tries to solve it at a policy level, it becomes very hard because their only solution is like either locking people up or like these, which doesn't work, or these like really, like these like state-funded detoxes and stuff, which do work, but you actually have to get people in to go to those.
Right.
And so, like, I don't know. It's almost like an intractable problem. I mean, obviously it's not. There has to be some kind of solution for it. But like,
Would you say that podcasting is your new drug?
I would say no. Yeah, well, yeah, I would say it's podcasting, but really it's re-listening to the podcast is where I get high. Like when I'm like, fuck, that was so funny when I said that. I was so smart, like the trenchant observation.
Yeah,
and for me, like that's better than any drug.
Okay.
That and gay stuff.
Okay.
Like having gay sex is
Okay.
probably to me like that's how I get high now.
Nice.
But it's to me, I only know how to fight it at like an individual level, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's like I've had so many of my friends are also drug addicts and alcoholics and stuff like that. And like they either die, which a shit ton of my friends have died from it, or they get so fucked up that like you have to like talk to them. And that's like really the one thing is like if you think someone's fucked up, you should talk to them about it. Because I think a lot of, for me at least, I was like, I can't let anyone know this. This is my secret shame. Everybody like will think I'm a fucking freak or a monster. And so like, but I was so afraid to like ever mention it. So I had this thing that completely dominated every single facet of my life that I never spoke a word about to anybody.
Right.
Even though I was stealing from them, I was like, my arm, like all of my shirts had like blood stains where the crook of my arm. And eventually when I was able to start talking about it with people, I didn't get sober right then, but like that kind of helped me get there. I think in general, drug facilities in America fucking suck unless they're expensive private ones. So like I worked in this detox in San Francisco that was like constant. San Francisco is like a city budget that's like bigger than a lot of countries' budgets. I mean, it's billions, it's like $11 billion. And I worked for a city rehab. And while I was there in like the 2.5 years that I worked there part-time, just in my regular job. And they cut the days that people could stay there from like, I think it was 14 to like 5. And the statistics with sobriety stuff are always very weird and like all statistics are kind of fake, I think. But like the longer that you spend in an institution, like where you're like, you're like a rehab or whatever, the better your chances are afterwards. And so like what we actually see is all these city funded stuff is like, they're like try to get you out as soon as possible.
Right.
And you also just have to like, it's so, and they suck to be in too. Like some of the staff was using, it was all dirty. The food was horrible, but like this country has so much money that you could make rehab. I loved rehab because I could read books in there, but everything else about it kind of sucked. And like, but it was still cool. It was like good to be like somewhere that was like not like disgusting. And so I don't know. I think like one thing is to probably just like open a shit ton more facilities and make the facilities that are there nicer. Cause like a lot of detoxes and rehabs, depending on the place, are like how the nut houses used to be in the 60s and 70s, like just like completely like staff just not giving a fuck, crackheads running rampant. I shot up in a rehab once. My entire detox that I was there.
Indians throwing washing machines through the window and escaping.
Did he throw a washing machine?
I forget what he threw. He
threw the water faucet, right? The thing they were drinking water from.
Yeah.
We're talking about one flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Oh, I was about to say, this is a guy, because you can just leave these places. They can't keep you there. But
okay.
yeah, I worked in a nut house too, and that was sick.
Yeah.
I love crazy people because they're like taught, you can trick them into not being, because they were always getting fights and stuff, and I would just trick them into not being in a fight. And that was very, we also give us a panic button. And then the one time we had to hit it, I realized they'd never given us, there was no batteries in it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that like that it's especially with fentanyl, it's so like, I think most addicts are so wrapped up in shame and like self-loathing and guilt that like it's like you don't feel like a human being. And so like it just, you dig yourself into such a deeper hole usually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I guess we made some progress that we're not bringing heroin directly in from Afghanistan anymore.
Yeah. Now we're bringing fentanyl in directly from wherever the fuck it's coming from.
I mean, a big first step would be the U.S. government not bringing drugs directly into this country, but we'll get there eventually.
Why are they bringing the drugs in?
To prop up various client states is a policy going back to at least the fall of the KMT in China.
Okay.
We just
Well,
support.
also as a way to get money for things that you can't otherwise raise money for,
Right.
or like the congressional allocations would raise questions.
When you need to send CIA agent Brace Belden
Yeah.
to
To
help
Syria.
the Kurdish fighters.
I will say this: when I was in Syria, I had a syringe of like morphine on me the entire time, and I never used it. But part of me was always like, if I get shot, I'm fucking.
Oh, how sick
But
was
No,
that?
don't relapse.
Well, it's not a relapse. You get that's a free. If you get shot, you
Yeah,
can do
that's
morphine.
meeting God, yeah.
My friend got shot, and they gave him ketamine, and because then like there really is. I had like the morphine I had was really rare. They don't have a lot of. I ended up giving it away when I left to a person who needed it, not to just a random person.
You get shot, you call your sponsor
Yeah, I'm
instead
like,
of.
hey, is this okay? Like, I'm bleeding, but like, it hurts, but like, I could probably just do more ketamine. But my friend got shot up with ketamine, and he went into a K-hole for like 3 hours in the back of this truck while they're like bouncing back to this town. Which ketamine was also not, when I was using drugs, no, the ketamine was not involved at all. But now I feel like whenever I go out, people are like doing bumps of ketamine.
Oh, they're so annoying too. They're so happy and hyped.
I know.
Ugh, get on my face.
Exactly.
Motor
You should
mouth.
be doing coke and be like, "You look so fucking hot tonight," and like taking a shit at the bar.
That's the other thing I want to ask you about. I want to ask you about combat a little bit. Because you went to
Syria, yeah.
You went to Syria and you fought ISIS.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was, Thanksgiving, I kind of got into it with one of my uncles. We were talking about war and stuff. And he was like, he was stationed in Germany during Vietnam. And he was like, well, he's like, I was over there. And I was like, well, you're in Germany. You didn't even see any combat. And he got like mad at me.
Yeah.
Is there stuff that people, is there anything you want people to like understand about combat,
It is.
the ways of war?
Well, I think the funny thing about it is it's like, and this is what they don't want you to know. It is like a video
Fun.
game.
It's like video.
It is like a video game.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. It really is.
Okay.
If you play enough video games,
Yeah.
you can probably be a soldier.
Really?
Well, not physically maybe,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like you kind of
be the
get
new
the-
ad.
you just have to run and not get
Because sometimes
shot.
when I play like a video, like Call of Duty, I'm like, this guy's running a lot.
Yeah,
Like, I'd be very tired.
That's the other thing too. Is I think like luckily about the Syrian civil war is everybody's kind of malnourished, and
Okay.
so like not really anybody's functioning on that high of like a athletic level.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody's running that far. But it is like
Who did you like talk to join?
there was this like website that the YPG set up for foreign volunteers.
Okay.
And I had to figure out how to send a what are those fucking called? Like a not Bitcoin or whatever, but like a coded message. It wasn't actually coded. It was just like a regular email, but I had to like encrypt it. I had to encrypt this email, which took me so fucking long to figure out.
Okay.
And then they just sent me an unencrypted email back. But it's not illegal. Like there's no law against it because if I fought the Syrian government, there would be because you're not allowed to fight other countries' governments.
Okay.
But non-state actor to non-state actor, it's a legal gray area.
Okay.
And so they just hit me back and they sent me these questions that were like trying to figure out if you're a psychopath. Because I was like, these are really specific questions, and I Googled and they came from some textbook. It's like how to figure out if someone's a psychopath. But I'm like, a psychopath would just lie to you.
Yeah.
And then they gave me a phone number, and I called. They were like, call this when you get to Iraq. Fly to Suleimania in northern Iraq on this day. I called the phone number, and then I got taken to this taxi driver took me to this like motel, not motel. It was like I wouldn't want to say it's a hotel because it was like more like a hostel. And that was like their contact place. And the smuggler took me to the mountains, and then from there we were met with these mountain fighters, and then the mountain fighters took us to Syria.
And that's not something where you're like, oh, I think I want to leave. There's a certain point.
Well,
where
you can't. So it's kind of that was the whole thing. I definitely was like, I don't know, this is a good idea. But at a certain point, you're just like, well, there's no other option I have. And you don't want.
What made you want to go?
I was working at this boxing gym. It was the only job I've had where I used a computer, and so I would like be sitting there like waiting to finish, and I would like close up for the day, and I saw I kept obsessively reading about this woman who was like a half German, half Togolese woman who died fighting with this Hojahist group from Turkey that was fighting alongside the Kurds named MLKP. And I was like, that's so crazy she did that. Like, that's like, how do you even like end up in a situation like that? And like just slightly more research, I was like, oh, and I knew a bunch of Turkish and Kurdish people because there's like the highest concentration of them in America is in the Bay Area.
Okay.
And so through talking to them, some of them had been just like, not to fight or anything, but had been there. And they were just like, hey, you should go. And once I figured out I could email these people, and I didn't think that would work, and it worked.
Yeah.
And so I just went after that. And yeah, I liked it quite a bit.
Was there a fear you had of like, I'm going to be cannon fodder when I get there? They're going to put me to the front of the lines or strap me to the front. I mean, you're not from there, right?
Yeah. Well, there was a big thing among foreign volunteers is like, they're like, oh, they want foreigners to die so that like they can get
more eyes on this.
But like, they're not organized enough for that to happen. And so like, I ended up in a heavy weapons unit. And so like, we were like, on operation. It was funny because like I was kind of like fuck, like when I like they were like assigning us units, I was like, I'm like probably not gonna be a very good soldier. Like when are they gonna send me? And they ended up sending me this heavy weapons unit, and they sent these sort of like the two ex-veterans, or they were current veterans. They sent those guys like completely to the rear because it was like basically random. Like everything was just less organized than I thought it was gonna be. And we went on operation immediately, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna die. And then I just didn't die. And then I was like, oh, I get like what I actually have to be scared of now. And like after a little while, I was like, I can see what stuff's actually scary and what stuff's just like not that scary. And it's just like more boring. Most of it's boring, and then a little bit of it's like really scary. But mostly you're sitting there.
Okay.
Well, you know, I do find it interesting. Like, you run a successful conspiracy theory podcast now, and there's a long tradition of American conspiracy theories of various conspiracy theorists accusing each other of being CIA. And so it seems like, I mean, I see those accusations against you online, and it seems like this all just comes from you going, because I guess the U.S. since the 70s has on and off supported various Kurdish groups. Sort of to destabilize Iraq, is my understanding. But
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, do you just think that comes with the territory, or is there any other basis for this besides you just going and fighting with the YPG?
I think the CIA stuff, because as people think that I was like somehow recruited by the CIA.
I read San Francisco.
I forget where I read. I read somewhere that you and Dasha grew up near a military base.
Oh yeah. Well, there's people also connected to the fact that I knew Dasha when we were teenagers, and they're like, "How can there be two people who do podcasts?" I'm like, I don't know. I know of a lot of people in my life. Like one of them does a podcast. But
just like 5 being trained with microphones.
Exactly.
How to say retarded.
Like, I guess like I don't begrudge people their fun. And I think it's fun to like, it's gay to hate a podcast because then you just seem like a guy who's like, it's like, I fucking hate King of Queens or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so you have to like make it more sexy by being like, I hate this podcast because it's from the CIA. But and it's cool to think it's a classic tradition to think your online enemies work for some kind of government. I have always been kind of confused over what my role would have been in Syria for the CIA. Because while I have no illusions about my military prowess, maybe other people do. Like there was either people always get mad and like, you were at the rear the whole time, which was demonstratably not true. Or like they had sent you out there to be like a CIA secret super soldier. It's like I was just one of like thousands and thousands of people on these operations. I feel like the CIA has guys for that are more able to do that than I would have been. And then coming back, the other thing is that I wasn't arrested coming back, but no American's ever been arrested for it. Like hundreds and hundreds of Americans have gone. But my phone was tapped for years, probably still is. I am gang stalked.
Did you over there, or have you ever met people you think were in intelligence?
There was one guy there that everybody was like, I think that guy's in the CIA. But I think like in retrospect, he could have been for sure, but he also could have just been like a crazy narcissist. And then there was like one like military guy that I was like, oh, he's probably in the CIA, but like there was no like real contact or anything. And then after when I got back, it's funny because I know an Indian guy when I was there, Indian American. His like door got kicked in by the FBI twice. No, he's Sikh. Well, he's so Indian, but yeah, he was Sikh. And I'm like, they totally just did that because you have like a turban and shit. me, I think they would, like, my phone acted crazy for a really long time. But beyond that, I mean, it's also like, I wouldn't, I would never encourage anyone to do anything illegal or anything. Like, if I was like, you should go do eco-terrorism or whatever, like, yeah, I think there'd be a good case for that. But like, I don't know. I'm just a guy trying to live his life.
And what do you do for fun now that you're not fighting wars and doing meth anymore?
What do I do? I read a lot of novels.
Okay.
Yeah.
What have you read lately?
I read this book called The Sibyl.
Okay.
By Par Lenkervist. He was like this Swedish writer, and he wrote this book, The Dwarf. It's his most popular book, which is one of my favorites. And The Sibyl is really good. All of his books are about the wandering Jew, basically, and they're all just parables about that. And this is about like a Pythia in an Athenian temple. This woman who's like in her like wrestling with God and making love to him in her like religious ecstasy.
Okay.
And then also making and then birthing a retarded son.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
He starts a podcast called Out for Smokes.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're interested in this.
Like, yeah.
Because you've tested the son. He's not. He's good. He's not neurodivergent.
He doesn't seem like he is.
Okay, then he's probably not.
Yeah.
Have you considered making him that so that he'll get a better job when he's older?
Maybe.
We're low on time. I do want to know though. Are they still trying to make that movie about your life with Jake Gyllenhaal? I guess.
Jake, if you're listening to this, please do make that movie. I feel like what they do is whenever a magazine story comes out that's like narrative style, studios buy it. This is actually what I've been informed. So like what movie studios do is like anytime like a story comes out, like in a magazine, basically about anything slightly interesting, a studio will option it. It won't option it for very much money. It'll be like $10,000 or something. And they'll get the writer in the magazine will get that. And then if it gets developed into a movie, then there's more money. But one story about me got optioned, and then by Jake Gyllenhaal, he did not exercise that option. And then Casey Affleck, after he got Me Too'd, tried to option the only other magazine story about me, and I turned it down because they were asking for like my life rights, which I didn't know what that was, but I'm like, there's no way I'm selling those to you.
Yeah, what is that?
I think that's like where they can just use your life.
Oh.
Like,
Would Jake Gyllenhaal wear like a prosthetic nose like Bradley
Maestro
Cooper
style?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you see the shots, you're like, what the fuck? Is that what I look like?
They made him like 5'2".
Yeah.
Instead of Jarhead, it's called Jew face.
They removed his ankles.
He's gay.
Yeah.
He's just gay in it. They did make some like schlocky 24 style Hulu series about Syria.
Okay.
And they 100% had a guy based on me in it. Like, this is not me saying this to be like, I think that guy was, it was like very clearly based on me.
Yeah.
And they made him a bitch.
Okay.
And so I feel like they could have done.
never know.
I want to sell the rights to my story as a porno.
Okay.
And full creative control. My dream is I've been like, I'm not a big consumer of porn, but I've been like for the past few months, I'm like, I bet I could direct the craziest porno ever made.
Yeah. You think Selena Gomez would shave her head?
Not in terms of sex acts, but I think I can make an interesting story.
Okay. You're like Burt Reynolds from Boogie Nights.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Nice. All right, guys. Do we have any final thoughts or questions or?
No,
before we
Brace, you have a
wrap up?
board game out though, right?
Well, it's sold out now, but
Okay.
there is a board game available at stormthecapitalgame.com. But that's not the TrueAnon edition. That's just we did it with a couple of friends of mine. Yeah, that's it.
So people who didn't get the TrueAnon edition are just fucked then.
They're fucked. Yeah. Well, it's just gonna be worth nothing in 20 years. But it weighs 6 pounds. So you could, if you need to discipline your child, this is a good way to do it because you also teach them how to stop playing fucking games. And that's something you should start yelling at your kid. Don't fucking play games with me. Benjamin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Benjamin Netanyahu. Don't fucking play games with me.
Yeah.
And just like make him dress stupid. That's a classic.
Uh-huh.
That's a classic punishment parents would do. Is they make you wear stupid clothes to school to punish you. So make him wear a dress like Hemingway.
Okay.
The Storm the Capitol game, it has a special dice bag that's specially made so you can put your dick up in there.
bringing Catan to the board game night with your penis just on top of it. One of the sticks on the Nintendo Switch is just your like semi-rigid penis. You see Drake's penis?
No.
Oh my
No,
god!
I gotta look. I'll look.
Check
that up
this
later.
out. No, I'll show you guys right the fuck
yeah,
now.
you show.
Well, first of all, let me show you this.
Do we got any other plugs? Or Brace, was there anything else you wanted to plug
That's
while you're
it,
here?
TrueAnon.com.
Thank you for doing this, by the way.
Yeah, just
This is a lot of fun.
patreon.com/Out4Smokes. I
Yeah.
got some road dates coming up. Chicago, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Charlotte. Tickets at MikeRacineComedy.com.
The Drake penis. Jesus
Drake sucking dick.
Isn't that crazy?
We'll have that photo over on Patreon, folks.
My God.
That's fake, right?
No,
must
that's real.
be.
That was my penis.
Oh, yeah.
SeanPMcCarthy.substack.com. I just wrote a thing about October 7th. It's up there now.
Nice.
Yeah.
I heard Usher's gay.
Usher?
No way.
I believe
He's
it.
great,
He's
and
got-
he's gonna kill
he's
it
got-
at the Super Bowl.
Oh, he's gonna kill it at this. I mean, Usher's great.
Yeah, he's.
You can be great and gay.
Most of them are. Yeah.
Drake.
Yeah, made me want to
But
dance in
it's,
middle school.
Usher, I think, is gay. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. All
Oh,
right.
hey, Usher.
Yeah, patreon.com.
Patreon.com/Out4Smokes. Brace,
you,
thanks a
Brace.
lot. This is a great.
Thank you for having me.
TrueAnon
Good time.
podcast for Brace. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Thank you.